Now, I'm really excited to introduce you to our speakers. So first off, today we are going to talk with Penelope Strong, who's a DEI partner and strategist. Now, Penelope was a transracial foster child who was not raised by tiger parents and therefore was not the model minority. From childhood bullying to a life filled with microaggressions, she struggled with her identity. And it wasn't until the surge in anti-Asian hate crimes that Penelope really finally found her voice. Now she works to ensure that others like her can bring their true selves to work, find belonging and inclusion, and feel safe doing it. So welcome, Penelope. We're so happy to have you. Penelope is going to be joined in conversation with our own amazing moderator, Mariella. Now, Mariella is a Renaissance woman and a social impact multimedia producer, and she's spent a decade working with diverse technologists, independent artists, and divergent innovators across the globe to deepen their audience's emotional intelligence. She brings the most amazing energy to every single event that she hosts, and I cannot wait to sit back and hear this amazing conversation unfold. So Mariella and Penelope, I'm going to turn the stage over to you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Meg. Thank you, Power to Fly. Thank you for that beautiful introduction, Meg. I hope I can live up to that this morning. It's a little early where I am, and I know our guest speaker is also joining us bright and early where she's calling from, coming out of a beautiful vacation. So I look forward to getting some of those vacation vibes from you today, Penelope. Thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm in beautiful San Francisco. Normally sit in Atlanta, but thanks so much for having me. It's funny, Meg, I feel like she said it all. Is there anything else I need to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, Meg gave a beautiful introduction, and I would love to, pass the mic to you to continue to share a little bit more, maybe about your personal or professional career journey to help set the stage for the questions that I'll ask you in the next 26 minutes that we've got here. I also want to let folks know, if you're joining live, we'd love to hear from you. So be sure to drop any questions or reflections in the chat, and I'll raise them to Penelope as time allows. But Penelope, yes, would love to know a little bit more about, how you got to where you are today, your professional career journey that has led you where you are.
Yeah, it's been a really crazy life, a crazy journey. I suppose all journeys are, though. I started off my career journey as a software developer. That's where I really wanted to be, was tech. Just very futuristic thinking. I love technology. And so I had just really been working hard to get back into tech after taking an 18-year hiatus to raise my 3 children. And it was, I'd finally gotten that tech sales role, super excited, and then the pandemic happened. And then I started hearing about all the anti-Asian crimes, hate crimes, and then the Atlanta shootings. And it just sent me on a complete pivot. I just said, I've got to do something. I didn't know what it was, but I just knew that this was my purpose, and I enrolled in a DEI certification, got it, and was super excited to just move in that direction. So that's what I did, and it's crazy how the turns life takes, and nothing I could have ever imagined. But yeah, like Meg said. I'm a transracial foster, and so a lot of people don't really know what that is, but it's when you're adopted from a different country and adopted by a different racial couple. And it sometimes makes me mad because my country, where I'm from, it's South Korea. They sold their children to people who are just very unequipped to handle children of a different race. And it was a very strange experience. It wasn't a positive experience. And I guess that's partially why I'm here, and partially, what has really shaped me, and why I'm here today.
Well, first of all, thank you for opening up and sharing, these very vulnerable experiences that have brought you to where you are today. I applaud you for the the courage that it takes to share, as you are not alone in this journey, and I'm sure someone listening now will find this beneficial. I would love to know, if we could go back, to some of your childhood experiences. Was there a moment that you knew you wanted to, get into this, into this framework, working with diversity, equity, inclusion, let's say, or technology, for example? What were some of those initial, pulls towards your drive to want to participate, in the
Hmm.
workforce? I would love to know some of those initial,
Yeah,
stirrings.
it's funny, obviously when you're a child, you don't really know what you want to do. I'd always had ideas like first I wanted to be a paleontologist, then I wanted to be a writer, and then a movie producer, and just a poet. Like, you just like experiment with all these things that you love and that you're interested in. But I think because of my experiences, I was bullied relentlessly as a child, and I was sent home crying. Like I would have to leave the classroom. I would get off the bus and just like nobody ever helped me. My teachers didn't do anything. The bus driver didn't do anything. Kids didn't do anything. And my own parents didn't do anything. And I was just very alone. It's a very strange reality to grow up that way. And because of that, I think I was just really passionate about social justice. I felt like I was put on this earth to make some sort of impact, and that's kind of always been, I think, the driving force behind my work and the career decisions I've made, and that's what really led to this whole complete 180 career pivot that, just like I said, it set me in a completely different direction, and that's why I'm here today. Even doing this, nothing I've ever imagined doing.
Well, you're doing a great job. And I just, again, I want to just echo back to you. I appreciate you being here today to share your story, because I'm, I, I'm an artist first and a human second. I know that's probably
Uh-huh.
weird to say, but I really believe in, our creative nature and our, our ability to co-create, the world that we want to exist in, and at least, be the, the force in our lives that we can, decide, do I want to go left? Do I want to go right? Of course, when we're younger, we might not have so much of that intuitive, or at least the system doesn't, allow for that to be expressed so much. So I love to see now that, even with your career break and you're coming in doing this career pivot, we talk with people throughout the week here at Power to Fly about, specifically making these big leaps of faith, let's say,
Yes.
career pivoting, doing a 180, as you said. I would love to tap into that a little bit, because I know a lot of folks who are listening now are either, thinking of take a career
Hmm.
break or wanting to take a career break. I would love for you to demystify some
Yeah.
of the taboos that lay behind, taking a pause to do whatever, whether it be
Yeah.
caregiving, raising a family, going on vacation, sabbaticals. What advice do you have for people who want
It's
to flip the script? Mm-hmm.
It's so challenging for women because obviously we're the ones that get pregnant and have children and have to take that break. And it really interrupts our career. And I really struggled with that when I got pregnant with my first child. But literally, the minute they handed me this little innocent baby, it became so clear to me. I was like, yes, I've got to take time off. And and especially as an orphan, never having had parents or a family, I really wanted to provide that for my child. And I just wanted to hold her forever. Um, but the thing is, the reality is, 18 years later, I decided, oh my gosh, I need to get out of this abusive marriage and I need to go back to work and support myself. And I started up to athletic organizations. And it was weird because I used to actually put men in front of me to represent me because I felt unconfident about representing an athletic organization as an Asian woman. I felt like, oh, like, this, yeah, can I inspire? Can I lead? Will people take me seriously? And, I built these organizations into very successful organizations. And I thought that would really speak well to corporate America when I wanted to go back into the private sector. And surprisingly, I was always shocked at how they didn't seem to care that I had founded these organizations, grew them, wore every hat, the PR, the marketing, the sales, the procurement, finances, the e-commerce, everything. And nobody seemed impressed. And I thought, wow, what do you have to do in corporate America to impress people and to get a job? But I've kind of fell into sales, which actually, ended up being a really great role. And again, I don't know this for sure, really, but I think there aren't a ton of Asians representing, sales professionals. And it really helped me to gain that confidence that I lacked previously. It really helped me to kind of find myself in a way. And, especially growing up as a bullied child, and just kind of loathing and hating myself because I was Asian, because I was different, because kids didn't like me and they made fun of me, and it really helped to it helped me to find myself, and it helped me to also see that I really hated that I grew up loathing and hating myself, that this country did this to me because of racism, just because you're not white, because you're not the standard. And there's something very wrong with that. And now that I'm mad that I have to be fearful, like I'm in San Francisco right now, and today I'm going to spend the day alone going through the city, and I have to be fearful for my physical safety. I have to be afraid if I go into a restaurant and everybody turns and stares at me because I don't look like a local, and are people going to say things to me? Like, I've dealt with people saying just the most rudest, offensive, annoying things my entire life. It's just a strange existence to grow up or to just live with people constantly kind of telling you, oh, you don't belong, you're a foreigner. And when you're not, I've been here since I was 5 years old. I consider myself an American, and I consider myself an Asian. Secondly, like you were saying, you're an artist first and a human second. I guess, and maybe it's because I'm an adoptee, and I think it's really important for our country to normalize people that are not the standard, and that's really going to help with acceptance. And that's just kind of the message I want to bring today, is that I'm an American first. I happen to be Asian, but I think if we all focus on our commonalities rather than our differences, and us versus them mindset, I try to come at my work from a neurological standpoint, which I think that's going to help bring more people to the table. I think sometimes there's too much shaming and blaming, especially in the DEI industry. I feel it's broken, and I think that's why the needle hasn't moved as much as we have hoped that it would, because we're not really doing it right. And it's not like any one person has all the answers, and I certainly don't. I'm very new to this space, but I'm hoping to, just through my work and through what I do, to make an impact someplace.
Oh, Penelope, you're opening up so many things to dive into. Honestly, I would love to hold you there on that the DEI space is broken, and just to link that to your experience in the United States, having to consistently be faced with this, you have to prove yourself to certain people that don't want to accept you for who you are. And I can see how clearly that is a direct line to a broken DEI space, right? So we see a lot of performative allyship happening in the DEI space. We see, a lot of, new folks like us who are entering, because historically speaking, this has not even been an option for people to unpack and address. So we are actually, this is like a big family therapy that, the DEI space is, as I'm calling it. So I love that you're you're calling out that it's broken. And, with good intention and with, folks like us bringing our authenticity, challenging the social norm, asking people to, practice active listening, to hold their, to check their biases and to, bring that to the table. I would love to hear, in your experience, what are some ways that you're excited to change up this space that is broken, through your lens, through your specific lens?
Yeah, I was almost afraid to even mention it, just because I am so new to this space and I'm not an expert. I feel like who am I to come into this industry? But like you said, it's kind of new, and although some people have been doing it for a really long time, but when I look at the statistics and see that so many people feel that you know that what their companies, what corporate America is doing just really isn't enough. It's just not, making an impact. It's obvious then that something's broken. It's not a newbie like me coming into the space being like, hey, I'm here and I see things that you don't see. I mean, it's nothing like that. It's obvious. People are telling us it's broken and that it's not working. And from what I've seen is that, like I said, there's too much us versus them. And I think the problem too is, and this kind of goes back to my experience, is that I think corporate America, the way they do business, it's not human centered. I mean, they're not focused on people. They're focused on efficiency, which is what business is. It's about efficiency, doing the quickest, fastest thing the cheapest way possible, right? In order to be successful, because it's always about the bottom line. It's always about the ROI. But when you come at companies that way, and companies are about people, then you're not human centered. So therefore, companies are extremely flawed in that perspective, in the way they hire people, the kinds of people they hire. I think we all know about recruiting and how, providing these black and white resumes that are just checklists of, oh, check, 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 check. They have 9 out of 10. Oh, this is a good candidate. But somebody who does not necessarily meet those requirements, but who has maybe built a business, but you don't see them because the ATS tracking system doesn't, have all of those soft skills in that checklist. It's just, like I said, it lacks empathy, it lacks human centeredness, which is so ironic because companies are built of people, by people. But again, it's that bias that we can't help. We're humans. Humans have it neurologically. I always jokingly say, blame it on the amygdala. That's that little thing in our brain that causes us to be biased. Like, we literally can't help it. But like you said, we can pause, we can take a break and actively listen and go, wait, okay, I know I'm having a bias. I know my prejudices are, coming to the forefront. What can I do? Okay, I need to step back. I need to rethink this, and just really listen to this person, and hopefully reevaluate. But a lot of people, maybe they don't do that. Maybe they don't know how to do that. Maybe they haven't been taught how to do that. And a lot of it is just, I think if we can bring more people to the table and stop making it more or so uncomfortable, then we really can help and change the way people think and the way they behave.
Absolutely. And it's a practice, right? Like what you're hinting at. It's
muscle memory, I
It's
say. It's like a sport.
exactly. Yeah. We've been talking about this in the summit. That I interviewed a beautiful woman who was speaking to this. The mental fitness. It's like as if you want to work out your body in a certain way, you commit to it, and it's the same for something as big and complex as checking your own biases, right? So
Yes.
we have to expect that the people within these systems, within these, let's say, these corporate culture systems are willing to check, are willing to practice, put something into practice, and not just go with this, in my opinion, absurd definition of productivity and success that doesn't allow space for practice, for emotional intelligence, for these soft, I call them power or essential skills, like empathy, which is huge, which clearly, if that's something that we could practice, everyone, a couple minutes a day, I think that would just change the whole spectrum of all of the things, and this DEI space in particular wouldn't be so broken. We're stepping into this space. This is what we've inherited, right? So that's exciting work as well. It's like, okay, someone before me went through some hardcore stuff, and what would they do if they were in my position now? Like I think of some of the greats, some of my idols of the past who were activists, speaking of, inclusion, diversity, and all these things. And they didn't have, the technology as we know it today. They didn't have this at their fingertips. So I'm always like, what would they do today? So my question to you, Penelope, for folks who are listening right now, who are in our live audience, for people who don't feel like they fall into the cultural or professional script, the nice and neat. I don't think anyone does, and if they are, they're holding something down, right? So, but for I would say for all people who don't fit into this professional script or this cultural script, who want to be seen for who they really are, what advice would you have for them?
Yeah, that's such a great question, and it's something that obviously experience, trial and error will help make it more clear for somebody. But my years of experience is that it's really important to love yourself and accept yourself, and that's something that has taken me 52 years to learn, and I'm kind of ashamed of it. I'm kind of embarrassed that I had to loathe myself and like be white and like reject anything and everything Asian to feel accepted and to kind of like just fit into that American box, but it's something that, and actually I've been very fortunate in that I have a life partner now that has been extremely supportive, extremely loving, and he very much encouraged me to just really step back and look at myself and go, you're a wonderful person. And it helps not only to create that self-fulfilling prophecy to empower yourself, but it's so important as well to create a network, a community. I call it a wolf pack, and it's something that I've been seeking my whole life. I just didn't know it was here though, and it was only because of the hate crimes that I started just reaching out to all these Asian people and joining these chat groups and just sharing thought leadership and being able to share my experiences with people who actually could understand my perspective. Because of course I have white friends, and I was reaching out to my white friends and trying to have these conversations with them, and they weren't getting it. They were like, oh yeah, you're just being too sensitive. You're just, are you really sure that happened? And so now that I have the words like gaslighting and microaggressions, and now I get it that no, I wasn't being, my sense of reality is correct. Like my lived experience was traumatic, and I didn't know it was at the time, but it is now that I have all these words. But it's so important to reach out and find these people that are aligned, similarly aligned with what you think, what you feel, people that will support you, inspire you, and, just wrap them around yourself like a warm blanket and hug yourself. And I think that's really the most important thing. I've had to kind of leave behind some friends that just really didn't support me. And, it's hard. Like everything in life is hard. Changing careers is hard. Finding yourself is hard for some people. But it's so important to be introspective, I think, and just be bold. Like for me, I just I felt compelled to take action. And I think it's so important to just take that first step, do whatever you need to do to take that next step, to propel you forward, to meet that next milestone. And it's so important to write down your goals, just envision what it is that you want for yourself, and then to make it happen. The power is within you. I think that's why my favorite movie as a child was The Wizard of Oz, because Dorothy, she had that power all along. She just didn't know it. And now that at my age, I finally found it, I feel so powerful and I feel so fearless.
Oh, I love this. Penelope, this has been such a beautiful conversation. We're actually almost at our time. So I love that you were able to leave us on such a positive note on self-empowerment, advocating for yourself, the importance of community and that visualization of wrapping that intentional community around you like a warm blanket. Absolutely. I'm very frustrated with a lot of social media happenings, but I think that this, what you just said is one of the beautiful things about social media and, the different kinds of communities that we can
Yes.
come to discover. Unfortunately, after really big tragic incidents, let's say, we can tap into some of these communities and be heard, right? And not be challenged, and they take us for who we are. So I do apologize that, you had to be faced with so much ignorance, but I'm so proud to see you where you are now. And you were mentioning that, it took a long time, but I think that, it's never too late. And for folks who are listening right now, it's never too late. And as Penelope is saying, put yourself first and bet on yourself, right? So I'd love to just give you the final words as we have just a couple more seconds left. What should people leave away, take away from your message today? You've said so many beautiful things, but what's one thing you want them to remember?
Yeah, I think being fearless is the most important thing. That's what stopped me so many times in my life, being afraid to be myself, basically. And, it's funny because I was what corporate America says they want, being an out of the box thinker, and being bold, being creative, being innovative. But when I tried to be all those things, I get smacked down every time. I've been fired, I've been laid off. And I think it was for being myself. And it's just, when you're an Asian woman, and you don't fit that mold, you know, refusing to keep my head down, it hurt me. But in a way, it's helped me to really discover who I am. And now I am the CEO of my own company.
Yes, mic drop. Love it. Penelope, thank you so much for taking time to have your busy
Thank
schedule,
you,
for coming
Mariella.
back from your vacation to share knowledge. All the best, and I look forward to staying connected. Thank you, Penelope.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.